Thank you, Christy, and thanks all of you for being here today. I'm Adam Telle. I'm the Assistant Secretary of the Army for Civil Works. We're so honored today to have brought the Secretary of Army, Dan Driscoll, here to Mississippi. We spent yesterday in Louisiana. Really, one of the first times in a long time that a Secretary of the Army has taken the time to understand the critical role that the Corps of Engineers and the Army Civil Works program play for the nation's economy. And we're standing right here on what is the toughest bend in the Mississippi River to navigate, just to demonstrate how important the Corps of Engineers mission is to the nation and to this part of our country. We launched an initiative on Monday called Building Infrastructure, Not Paperwork. This will be the largest transformation of the Civil Works program in a generation. Our goal under President Trump's leadership is to reduce the amount of paperwork that we're imposing on our districts, like the one here in Vicksburg, like the one we were in yesterday, like in New Orleans, and get them back to the business of building our infrastructure. Infrastructure like you see right behind us. We're so fortunate also to have the chairman of the Armed Services Committee, Senator Wicker, here, who I will also point out is an important member of the Environment and Public Works Committee, which has jurisdiction over the Civil Works program of the Army. And I'm just so excited for Secretary Driscoll to be able to share what it is he's learned the last 2 days as the first Secretary of the Army in a long time to really spend time focused on the Civil Works mission. So Secretary Driscoll, thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you to everybody for being here, very sincerely. We are your United States Army, and one of the things that I have learned is our soldiers are incredible. Our nation's Army has been around for longer than our country itself. So the Army celebrated its 250th birthday last summer, and one of the things I tell soldiers is what's so amazing about the legacy of getting to be part of the Army is you have been there for our nation in some of its absolute hardest times, all over the country and within our own borders for forest fires and floods. But then what's also so amazing about being a soldier and what the role that the Corps of Engineers does for our country is it does things like this. This absolutely amazing waterway is part of a constellation of assets that we have as a nation have that move $3 trillion a year. That is unbelievable economic opportunity that is created there. And when President Trump talks about economic security being national security, this is it right here. When Adam talks about what we're doing to cut back on paperwork and get the government out of the way so that things can thrive, you are seeing it firsthand with the projects that are going on. Secretary of War Hegseth is absolutely laser focused on empowering us and empowering the other leaders in the Pentagon to serve all of you and to fight for the taxpayer and to fight for the soldier. And so it is an absolute honor to be here with you today. Chairman?
Well, thank you very much. And General Graham, thank you for being here. It's good to be here with the Assistant Secretary, who I've known for decades and decades, and the Secretary of the Army. I had the opportunity, as a member of two important committees, actually to vote for confirmation of both of these, and that was an easy call.
Thank you
for people like me. We've seen a lot today. We spent some time at ERDIC. Amazing the computer technology and the ability we have there to speed things along and help the taxpayer. I think one of the statements that we're making all day today is that we can be quicker and more efficient about this creaky federal government that we've had for so long and still protect the great natural resources of the United States of America. And that's part of what we're learning today with private industry. We were up in downtown Vicksburg talking to some people that work every day with trying to build up the infrastructure of this country. They want our country to be safe. They want our country to stay healthy and our environment to be pure. They just want to be able to do something in a way that helps the taxpayers and moves things along. I had breakfast yesterday with the Secretary of Defense and the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs. And I'm happy to say, Mr. Secretary, that their plans and their proposals from the Trump administration to increase national defense spending this next fiscal year by 50% are clearly underway. We can do it. We need to make a statement to the rest of the world that the United States is prepared to defend itself in a meaningful way. We're going to make a statement, a very strong statement to that effect. the next time we pass a National Defense Appropriation Bill and Authorization Act. But it's wonderful to be here. Thanks to the Golding family, their old and dear friends who've helped our state out and helped me out in so many, many ways. So thank you very much, and God bless you.
It's great to be out of DC and out on the river, seeing where all this amazing work takes place. Here with our partnership with the navigation industry, making sure that the responsibility that the Corps has that underpins, as you heard from the Secretary of the Army, much of the nation's economy rests on our ports and waterways. And that care has been entrusted to the Corps of Engineers since 1824. And that's a responsibility we take very seriously, and we work to earn that trust and responsibility every day. Also standing right here on this levee, and this is no surprise to the people that live here in Vicksburg, is the amazing work that we partner with the states and the communities on protecting citizens from flood. Everybody up north of us in the Mississippi Delta and everybody downriver from us, we're about to hit the almost 100th anniversary of the Mississippi River and Tributaries Flood Risk Management Program, which has been absolutely amazing. And I'm going to get this number a little bit wrong, and Colonel Gibson's going to shout out the right answer, but every dollar invested in the MR&T saves how much?
$121, sir.
$121 of damages and misery to the citizens that live in this amazing valley. Again, that is a sacred responsibility that the Corps of Engineers, the Army Corps of Engineers has, and our goal is to earn that trust every day.
We'll be more than happy to entertain any questions.
Hi, Thea with the Clarion Ledger in Jackson. What kind of impact is this new plan going to have when it comes to responding to natural disasters?
Well, Mia, thanks for the question. One of the things I observed coming into this job was that the Army Corps of Engineers, and quite often, right now, we're responding to one of the largest sewage leaks in our nation's history into the Potomac River. When our Army Corps of Engineers is deployed under FEMA to respond to natural disasters, is actually when you see the red tape go away and we enter Army mode and we deliver for the American public. I was out in Los Angeles in the wake of the wildfires out there. People on the streets coming up to us just thanking us for getting the debris cleared. Same in Western North Carolina following Hurricane Helene. The Army Corps of Engineers, when it is unleashed to do what the Army does best, it does amazing things. We cleared 3.5 Rose Bowls full of debris from the Los Angeles wildfires in just 6 months. That should have taken 18 months. It only took 6 because the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers under President Trump's leadership delivered that. And what we're trying to do is take that model where we're doing so well in responding to natural disasters and apply it to our everyday mission. Every single day we're building infrastructure for the American public, but we need to be using that same attitude and those same processes we have in responding to disasters to proactively build out America's infrastructure, and that's what we're doing.
Cameron Smith, WJTV in Jackson. Just want to talk about how will this help communities along the river when it comes to flood risk enhancement. Recently, a few months ago, it was flooding into some of these communities, and how is the work you're all doing compared to that?
If you look at the numbers, and if you try to measure the demands that the public has placed on the Army Civil Works program, it numbers in $100 billion or $200 billion. The demand for what we provide, what General Graham provides, what Secretary Driscoll provides, is far more than we're able to deliver right now. And we have to evolve in order to deliver the flood risk management as well as the navigation that the nation needs. What we're doing with building infrastructure, not paperwork, is going to benefit every community all throughout the country, especially here in the Mississippi Valley, where obviously a great deal of our nation's commerce pass through, but people are also, the people who live and work here are subject to flood risk that we have mitigated through the years, and we're going to continue to mitigate every single day, but we're going to be doing it more efficiently.
Joel Massey from KTVE KRD in West Monroe. What are some specific projects that might affect my region in Ouachita Parish for the Ouachita River?
I might defer that question to General Graham.
I might defer that to Colonel Gibson, but sorry, yeah.
You take the hard ones.
Okay, thank you. In general, what we want to make sure we're doing is getting the engineering right up front. And under Secretary Telle's leadership, he's enabling us to make sure that we're doing that. We certainly want to make sure that we know what we have to build, and then to Congress, lay out clearly, this is what we're going to build and this is how much it's going to cost. And then seek a authorization to build that, and then seek appropriations. Our past track record has been that we've come back time and time again to seek more money, and then to seek more authorizations to spend more money. And that's just slowing us down. And so we want to get this right up front so that we can safely and efficiently deliver quality projects on schedule within budget every day.
And I can take one that I think your viewers and every viewer should care about. It's this concept of this water of the United States, WOTUS. And so if you are doing a project in the United States of America, you have got to get past this gating item. And we, the Army, are responsible for basically saying, hey, is this project you're working on going to impact waters that we are responsible for? And we have done a horrific job over the years of empowering taxpayers and empowering business owners and empowering builders of the things our nation needs to get the answers they need quickly. And under Secretary Telle's leadership, what we are doing is we are going back to the very original question of what is good for the United States. What is good under President Trump and Secretary Vorhexeth is growth, economic strength. And so we have got to design our systems that balance the speed of getting a decision to somebody so they can act with the very noble mission of defending the environment and protecting it for future generations. But what they are doing, I am cautiously optimistic, will cut down on the lead times. I'm going to hold you accountable to this by 80 or 90% for projects to start in the United States as they're waiting for that decision, and that will impact almost every single American.
That's true. Mr. Telle, speaking of flood control, there was an announcement from Jackson yesterday about the selection of the flood control project for the Pearl River. We hadn't seen any announcement from the Corps, or I don't believe from your office yet, on that final selection. Can you clarify just like where that project is in the process? What's left to come next?
Sure. Well, since we remember the tragic floods of 1979 that affected the Jackson Metro and have affected the Jackson Metro ever since. And since at least 1986, the Corps of Engineers has been saying we're going to help address those problems. And then in 2007, the Congress enacted another piece of legislation that said a decision needs to be made on Jackson. Well, that's languished since 2007. I mean, we're talking 20 years later, it's languished. So when I took this job, I picked up that file and I said, I know that the people of Jackson need flood risk mitigation. And I said, what's holding this up? I came down here with Colonel Gibson and we toured the Jackson Metro and the Pearl River on the Rankin County side and the Hinds County side. And at the end of the day, my decision was we need to move this thing forward. And this is the first step, the first chapter in getting this thing moving for the first time in decades. The residents of Jackson know it's needed. I think as a nation, we know it's needed. There's definitely downriver impacts that we're going to have to mitigate. But if we hadn't taken this important step in January to get this thing moving, Colonel Gibson would have had his hands tied. And that's exactly what we did when we released this memo in January, was to untie Colonel Gibson's hands so he can get to work on saving lives and property in Jackson.